we're gonna go through the next topic.
That was
we're
a hot
gonna
topic.
go
Thank you.
like go on deep on your personal life.
No problem.
So how did you start DJing, and how did your Caribbean roots play into it?
Well, I started DJing when I was 10 years old. I was in the 4th grade, so I started DJing and playing saxophone at the same time. My older
My
brother.
favorite instrument.
Oh, nice. So my older brother, he was a DJ before me just as a hobby, and my best friend was playing saxophone. So in the 4th grade is when you can start being in the band. So I wanted to play drums, and which is why I became a producer later on. But saxophone is what I had to go with just because my best friend is playing saxophone. It makes no sense to go.
What songs have you produced, just so we know?
That's out there?
Yeah.
I've produced records on Akon's first 2 albums.
That's
I've
dope.
Nice.
produced Rock City,
Because
Cardinal
I saw
Official.
Rock City, you know.
Yeah,
That's one of my
Vaughn
favorite
Simmons,
bands of all time.
I've done some with Busta Rhymes. You know,
Busta?
Yeah, quite a few people.
That's
Quite a
dope.
few people. Yeah. So from 10 years old coming up, I've been DJing, and you know, in the Caribbean realm of things, I was more into, well, they're more into dance hall and soca,
True.
right? But I was going pretty much against the grain because I was a hip hop dancer also.
Oh, for real?
There you go with the
Yeah,
dancing.
that's
There you
Get
go.
the answer.
Yes, I was a break dancer.
Was
as
you
a
was
kid.
like pop lock?
Yeah.
That's
dope.
Right. So I was more into DJing hip hop and R&B records versus the dance hall and the soca records. But it's like by default, I still had to play that music whenever I go out somewhere. So that's what it was.
How hard is it being a DJ?
How hard is it? I'm
Is it-
not sure how I will be able to answer that because I've been doing it since I was 10. I'm now
Gotcha.
42. So
I
it's
guess
like
my
it's become
question
second
is,
nature
what's
for
the
me now.
hardest part about it?
I guess reading crowds.
Gotcha.
I would say that maybe just reading the crowd so that you could know what individual person in this
true.
room wants to hear,
Gotcha.
what's going to keep them on the dance floor. And a lot of times too, some people think it's just about keeping your audience on the dance floor, but you have to understand the bartenders got to get tipped
Oh, yeah,
too.
they vibing too.
They got to be able to make money too. So you got to kind of kill the dance.
there's like a
to
science
send, of
to
course,
it.
of course. You got to kill the dance to be able to send people to the bar. You got to be able to let people get a chance to go outside and cool off and breathe and come back. And you know, there's different levels to the time of the night.
That's
of
why
what music
sometimes
you're
they
gonna
play a
too.
different song and it pisses you off and you're like, why
But you
did
need
do
you
that?
need that
But
to
you're
calm
like,
the
okay,
hell
let me go
down.
outside.
But yeah, you either went outside, you went to the restroom, you know, you just figured out something else to do. But all of those things are different methods as a good DJ would be able to do. Some of them are not good DJs, but they do it by default. But then to find out later on, you know what I'm saying, that was something.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
Any DJs you look up to?
Do I that
Yeah,
I look up to?
yeah,
Yeah, of
that is
course,
very
of course. I mean, when I was coming up, like I learned how to scratch from listening to cassette tapes of Funk Master Flex
Oh yeah.
in New York.
Flex.
All right. So that was like my main thing. When I got put out of school in the Virgin Islands, I went to New York in 94, 95. And I would listen to this Funk Master Flex guy on the radio, and he would be doing all kinds of crazy stuff with the music, and all I could do is hear it. I couldn't see him, you know what I mean? I'm just listening to the radio. So I would record him on cassette, and then when I get to my turntables, I would try to mimic whatever it is that he was doing without knowing what he was doing. And then I just had to eventually figure it out. But Funk Master Flex, I would say, is one of the definite people that I look up to. And DJ Jazzy Jeff, of course, you know, just for the turntablism.
I gotta ask you a question
Yes,
too.
sir.
What was the dopest DJ set you put on? What country, what city were you in where you felt like, man, I really got him on one
And
today?
can I add to that? So how did Afrobeat influence the way you DJ now? Because you see how Afrobeat is going up and it's going like fire.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about that? How
Incorporate that in your
how
set.
do you incorporate it? And do you feel like it's because of Akon or who introduced you to Afrobeat? What is your feeling? Just freestyle.
Okay,
Tell.
so first part of the question, what's been my best performance? Like pretty much every performance that I have, I'm looking for it to be better than the next performance, than the one that I did before. So that's the way that I try to DJ all the time.
Yes.
Like people ask me, how do I have so much energy on stage? And I always tell them my trick for me is that, and it may sound crazy, but while I'm performing on stage, I envision myself in the audience looking at myself on
That's a good
stage
perspective.
and wondering
That's great.
if this is something that I would like to
Like to
see
hear.
at a concert,
sure.
you know. So I would do that. The next part, as far as with the Afrobeat. So being the DJ for Akon for going on 17 years now, right?
Yes, amen.
Next year is going to make 17. So this is my 16th year with him.
That's great.
We have been going to Africa for a very long time, for many years, you know, being from Senegal and everything.
Yes.
So many times when I would go to Nigeria and I got very close with like Wande Cole and
Yes.
D'banj and Two Face, these are my good friends. These are like my friends, you know. I would come back to America and I would go to the Caribbean and I would tell them about this music and these artists that I'm meeting,
Right.
and I would show them on YouTube. I'd say, hey, look at P Square, and I would say, look at how many millions of views they have. Have you ever
Right.
heard of them? They'd be like, no. But how do they have this many views and I've never heard of them?
Right.
So I would try to introduce
Yes,
people
amen.
around the world about the music, and it was taking a lot of people a really long time
Yeah. It
to
took a
get
while.
Took a long
into it.
time.
So I hope to say that I was one of the early people
Yes.
from not from Africa, but who was able to help get the sound out there, because I would
Yeah.
always play the music whenever I DJ on any continent, not just in America. And eventually people started to really take on to the music, and then the artists really started coming over and doing their own tours, their own African-like tours
Yes.
in America. The African people will come out, but then the African people who live in America would now bring their American
Okay,
friends
friends.
to
Yeah,
the
yeah.
events,
That's
and
how
now
it
they will
works.
be put on to all of this new music. So, you know, sometimes I laugh when I listen on the radio and I'm hearing them playing Joanna or If, and I'm like, but this is so old.
It's
Why
all
are
like
y'all
2
playing
years
it?
ago.
Yeah, why is y'all
I
playing
have
this?
I have
you know?
like friends like text me when they hear that Joanna, they just say, "Oh,
Yeah.
have you heard about this?" So I got a text like three
Yeah.
3 days ago. I was just like,
that was
"Oh, it's
out
3
like
years
a year
old."
ago.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So
But it's good that
yeah,
at least-
I'm just happy to see that it's being played now,
Yeah.
and it's also been able to help the Caribbean market, because soca and Afrobeat is so close to one
Yeah.
another.
Yes,
Right.
we-
Now
we
that
Same
want-
kind of
Afro, right,
instruments
now that
and-
Afro has gotten its foot into the door, it's now allowing for soca music from the Caribbean,
Yeah.
Brazilian music from Brazil, and you know, all
Right.
these different types of sounds
Right.
is now being able to really breathe. And the internet has really been one of the
Yes.
biggest sources of helping us for
yeah,
that type
for
of
sure.
stuff.
Right.
It's true. It's
And that's what
a
music
blessing.
is supposed to do, bring people together.
Of course,
Yeah.
of course. But for a long time, people they were closed-minded to
Right.
only their type of music, you know, their
yeah, for
style.
sure.
So now we're actually
That's
able to, you know, branch
Yeah.
out
Man.
and
Bridge the
give
gap.
everybody a chance to be able to hear everything.
Because
Yeah,
people are
that's
so talented in Africa. I mean, they just don't get the opportunity.
Yeah,
To-
to be
Yeah.
guessing.
be
And then
able
like
to
now
see.
when you go to like a soca festival, you can actually see people mixing
Of course.
music
Yeah.
and stuff here in Atlanta.
Yeah.
It's dope. It's
It
like I
is.
think the best experience is to go to like a soca festival.
Yeah, because
You-
at
you
When
get it.
music fest
at
coming up,
soca
I'm going.
festivals now, at soca dances now,
Says-
it's
yeah.
mandatory now that
Yeah.
we play Afro.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? But again, because of the correlation of the music is so close to each other for the longest, and we just didn't know. They
Right.
didn't know how close of the sound it was, but now they're able to say, oh, well, these actually blend together.
Like
It's
getting
the
back in
same
touch with
sound.
your roots.
For sure.
There you go. So
Yeah.
now I think the Caribbean market was quicker to be open to it because it's closer to their music. And now Americans, just as Africans are more coming over to the country now, is making it a much bigger staple in America.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Definitely.
That's
a
great.
movement.
Definitely.
Did we have anybody in the crowd that had a question?
Yes.
Yes.
I've been dying to ask this because you touched on it a little bit as far as people that you knew personally and how it was important for you to actually break their record. But how important do you think it is as a DJ to break new artists' music records? I feel like that is your job, number one, to play music, but number two, to break records. You got to be that that DJ that's putting artists on. You're like an A&R. Do you believe that?
Yes, 100%. And I
You
always,
all right with me, Purple?
there we go. But I've always felt that sometimes I go into clubs now and all I hear is radio music. So I'm like, what happened to the days when you will go to the club and all you doing is like, yo, I heard this new song at the club last night.
Nah, that's over with.
It's like there's no more of that. I'm not hearing that too much anymore.
Everybody's on their phone most of the part anyway, so.
Well, even to being on your phone, you should be recording the song that you heard so that you can be able to go out and tell people now. So that you're able to actually remember the record now instead of saying, man, I heard this record last night. I don't know what it was, but only at the club is where you can hear it.
Right.
But they're not doing that so much anymore. So I think it's very important for DJs around the world, no matter where you are, to still break these artists. Don't wait until it's broken on the internet.
Right, and then you late.
People, you know what I'm saying? And then you're going to start playing it just like they're doing with If or Joanna. It's like they waited for it to be able to be something. You know, like a lot of them only know Wizkid.
Burna's been out for a while.
Burna has been out for a while.
now
A lot of them only know
everyone's
Wizkid because of Drake. You know, they would say because of Drake. Now I know Wizkid, and it's like,
Wizkid
He's
was
been
the-
around.
if you only know how huge Wizkid is.
I think like
You know what I mean?
Wizkid was like the one that actually break through
No,
the ice. Like
I'm not gonna agree.
Well,
No, one of the like more because like what he
Yes.
said about like
Through
Yes,
he
I-
opened the
music,
gate.
Listen,
Yes.
I would definitely say that because
Yes.
here's from my own experiences of the music, I would say it started off from when we first came and I got introduced to it. It started off with the first school of it was Two-Face,
Yeah,
P Square.
Yeah,
That's what I was gonna say.
One Day Cole.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
Yeah, the band, they been
the
there.
band.
The
No,
band.
that was the first
That's
set.
when the
Remember,
door
Wizkid was still a little
No, he
boy
was a
when
boy
we first
back
started
then. That's true.
going out there. And then Wizkid started to grow. So now you got Wizkid, you got Davido, you got now Techno and Flavor and them are the newer school even.
Yeah,
Because even Wizkid is now
A
an
level
upper echelon
higher
from
than
them
them.
guys, you know what I mean? So that's how it went for me.
That's
So
true.
Two-Face and the band and them,
Yeah,
they were the
they
ones
did
that
that.
initially
Yes.
started it
Yes.
off.
Right.
And then it grew to where it's at now. But just like anyone who's like the first to do something, so your P Squares, your DeBanjas, your Two-Faces, they are not getting the accolades that
No,
That they
they're not,
deserve.
that a
unfortunately.
Wizkid and a
Yeah.
Davido is getting, you know, and even to Afrobeat. They only know Joanna from Afrobeat.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's
It
all
is what
really
it is.
that people know around, you know, around my circles and stuff like that in the soca community and in the American Afro community. You know, that's what they know. But
Can
they
I
don't
ask you a
necessarily
question?
know the rest of these artists. Yes, sir.
So as a DJ,
Yes.
you personally,
Yes.
what do you do to spread new artists and these African beats? I know you play it, you probably play it, you know, when you do DJ. But how do you spread it to other people? Because I'm from Detroit and I didn't know nothing about island people, not even curry, goat, chicken, and all that until I moved to Atlanta. So how do you spread that? Because like literally, I can tell you there's some people in Michigan who have never had curry goat, don't even know what that is. So like, how do you spread that culture and all that? Because I promise you, I didn't know nothing until I moved here.
So you asking me how do I spread the culture of where I'm from or the music?
And
All of it.
Well, as a DJ, to spread the music, I take this finger right here and I press a button and it
Thank
plays.
you.
It
Well,
plays
that,
it.
that's what I was gonna say. I
There you
think
go.
that
Like,
I
that's
think
how
that a
you get
lot
the
of
music
it.
out there. If
Yeah.
you play it, they're gonna listen to it. You know.
I'm just saying, but how do you get it to other people who not, you know what I'm saying, who's not listening to it?
that's how you need
Because
friends.
friends. Like I don't listen to it because I know nothing of it.
Yeah, like you said,
Nobody
friends or
Friends.
or what.
I moved here.
When you hear my name is on a marquee or you see my name on a marquee and you come to that place, you're gonna hear it.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
Just
But
like he's
It's a
doing
wave.
right now.
or just me being here to be able to
Talking
spread
about it.
words or I'm sorry.
See, the problem is DJs aren't
Oh,
rock
that-
stars.
that's-
You strike me as a rock star where you gotta break the mold. You cannot stick to the grain. You cannot be afraid to disappoint or send somebody to the bar
100%.
because that's all a part of breaking a record.
Listen, you gotta understand. I still make mistakes.
Yes.
Up to
We all
now.
do. We human.
I still make mistakes. I just performed in Oregon with Akon. At the
How many white
University
people
of
were out
Oregon.
there?
Huh?
How many white people were out there?
He can't
Well, it was about 30 or 40,000 people out there.
Oh,
So,
really? That's
yeah.
pretty
You
dope.
can't count it.
Yeah, so maybe
I
4,000.
just wanted to know how the
was
crowd looked like.
black.
It had to look crazy
Yeah,
because
it
in
was
Portland,
dope.
you know.
But just so y'all know, you can't be afraid to make mistakes. During my set, while Akon is performing, singing, and I'm dancing, once again, dancing.
You get the clue.